What's up, guys? Welcome to Blue Presents Podcast, a podcast where I discuss all things music and how it affects my life. And today on my show, I'm talking about probably one of my favorite metal hardcore bands out there today, The Ghosts Inside. And I'm talking about them because on Wednesday, they released a brand new single called Aftermath. And kind of what I want to do today is kind of talk about like each album they've put out up until this point. And then, obviously cover some things about what I liked about them, what makes me gravitate towards them, and how they've affected my life. So before I get started with that, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been listening to the show. I want to give a shout out to Dwayne for coming on and just talking about certain things. And once again, if you are in the Alltones area of Jewett City, make sure you support Annie at Alltone. She's still doing takeout and stuff like that. She's even doing that for beer and stuff. So make sure you guys support that. And I'm going to be trying some new things coming up soon. A little bit ago, before I started recording this show, kind of got on Facebook Live and was trying some different things and trying some new things. I'm also going to try sometime later on this week to get on Instagram Live as well too, and see how I can reach out to you guys more. Just kind of wanting to play some music and stuff like that and kind of have some conversations with everybody and get things started. So like I always say, if you'd like to be a guest on my show or you'd like to suggest a show idea, please hit me up on Twitter at Podcast of Blue or Instagram and Facebook at Blue Presents a Podcast. Thank you guys. Sit back, relax, and enjoy today's show. All right, guys, it's time to get into the meat and potatoes of today's show. And like I said, I'm talking about The Ghosts Inside. And before I kind of get started, I kind of want to give you guys a little bit on some of the things that I enjoy about music, and it will tie into kind of explaining to you why The Ghost Inside is one of those bands that just kind of affects me. So kind of start things off for me, when I first got into music, I was in a really dark place, and I feel like I was looking for something, but I just didn't quite know what it was. And it wasn't until I actually went to a show with a friend of mine's, Ray, and kind of saw like my first hardcore and metalcore bands and stuff like that. And I just remember after that show, after sitting in the crowd and just kind of feeling the vibe of everything that was going on, I felt like, I don't know what I have to do to be a part of this, but I have to be a part of this. It gave me a feeling of like, more or less like a light coming on in a room that's been kind of dark for so long. So it kind of changed my perspective. It kind of opened my eyes to something I didn't know existed and kind of affected me. So like fast forward to 2008, and at the time I was in a band called Wings of Victory, and I was kind of trying to change myself as a vocalist, and there were a couple bands that stuck out to me, and one of them obviously was The Ghost Inside, and the other one was For the Fallen Dreams, and they just kind of, these vocalists that had, John from The Ghost Inside has like a very, I would say, typical hardcore, well, for that first record, kind of a typical hardcore vocalist position, whereas Chad from For the Fallen Dreams had more of like a more throatier, kind of graveler sound to his voice, and they both kind of affected me so into what I wanted to do, and where I wanted to go and take my vocals to. So just kind of like I said, from 2008, kind of like, The Ghost Inside kind of helped me shape some of what I do as a vocalist, needless to say. So the reason why I'm talking about them today is because on Wednesday they released the song Aftermath after 5 years of, a journey for these guys, from a terrible, terrible accident that kind of took a lot from every member. The drummer unfortunately lost his leg and had to turn around and learn how to drum without a leg, and it's a pretty unique story about them. And, it touched me so, and this band has affected me so, that, I'm, unfortunately with the way the world's going today, I'm pretty positive that their Worcester show, which was supposed to happen July 25th, It's probably going to get rescheduled or canceled, which is kind of sad because I've been really, really looking forward to them. And I probably like flipped shit and told my wife when they were announcing that there was going to be a new show. I was just like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get to that show. And once it was announced that it was literally in my neck of the woods, I kind of had like a freak out moment and instantly bought those tickets that day. I didn't have a second thought about it. You know, I knew wherever these guys were, I needed to be there. So like I said, we're going to talk about the Ghost Inside. And I'm just going to go record by record and just kind of give you my thoughts and opinions on what made me gravitate towards them and what makes me continue to gravitate towards them. Because to be honest with you, me personally, and I know this doesn't happen for a lot of people, but every album they've ever put out, I've loved more and more and more and more. So we're just going to start off right off the back. In 2008, Fury and the Fallen Ones, man. Talk about just right off the bat. The one thing I noticed about this record was I would have to say it wasn't heavily produced, but that's not a bad thing. It was almost like unpolished rage, which is amazing. It was fast. It was heavy. And it really just kind of shaped what that music could be. Man, this record for real has probably like some of my favorite pit calls with songs like Provoke, Faith or Forgiveness, you know, especially like Faith or Forgiveness, you know, I'll See You When the Sun Sets. That breakdown is just absolutely massively heavy. And it's just, once again, just one of those great, you know, pit calls when the crowd goes silent, you know, when the band goes silent and the crowd just kind of chants to them. It's just kind of an amazing sound. And then on top of that, you've got songs like Siren Song and The Lion War that show that they could be brutal, but equally as melodic, as they were brutal, man. And, like I said, this first record just, like I said, it encapsulate a young band who's not very polished, but it's not being polished isn't a bad thing. It's more like there wasn't a lot of effects on it and their talent could really, really shine. You could get that fast speed and aggression from that first record, which is really, really awesome. So from that album in 2008 to 2010, Returners, which is probably close to one of my favorite records from them. If not, I would have to say my second one. There's another one on here I just like a little bit more. But this record right here, this was the moment where I felt like these guys kind of just were like, we're here and now we're going to show you why we will continue to be here. From the moment this album starts, man, this thing, it's something different, man, for real. It's definitely more polished up. But the sound of it, the speed of it, everything kind of coming together, especially, you know, you've got songs like Between the Line, you know, which is one of my favorite breakdowns. And then just that, what do you stand for, man? It just kind of like a punch to the gut, man, like a punch to your chest. It kind of tells you right off the rip that you know, you have to question yourself about what position in life you're going to take, man. And man, when I heard this song, like I said, just kind of blew my mind. That breakdown, that bass drop, just kind of set the mood for the whole record. And a crazy thing is the song Unspoken, which is probably a song I quote quite a bit. I even said it during my vows when I, you know, was getting married to my wife, you know, and I just kind of let her know that her and my kids are, you know, the fuel to my fire, you know, and watch me burn, which, you know, basically means, you know, watch me go forward, watch me pursue, watch me be passionate, watch me be a better person, a better husband, a better father, whatever that means to you. You know, that line kind of always has stuck with me. And when my son was born in 2010, this is a song I used to sing to him. Now, you know, some people are like, well, this is kind of a screamy song. Why would you be screaming at a baby? No, I mean, you know, I kind of, you know, just said it like if you were talking, you know, have the song in the background and stuff like that. And just kind of, you know, let him know that he was everything to me and was going to be everything to me for the rest of my life. And he continues to be. And like I said, you know, I said this during my wedding and it still sticks and still resonates. This is, like I said, one of my favorite records, if not my second favorite record for them. And it really, like I said, it really encapsulates, you've got so many great songs on here. But with that being said, being all mushy and shit, we're going to get to probably my favorite record is Get What You Give in 2012, man. And to be honest with you, this record came out in a time in my life where I was kind of falling apart as a person. I was looking for some motivation in my life. I was looking for that feeling of not being lost. Unfortunately, due to certain circumstances, I found myself being a single father to a 1-year-old and just kind of trying to figure out how to put things together and put my life together. And, I'm not saying and sitting here then saying that these guys helped me through it, but I think they definitely motivated me through it. You know what I'm saying? Especially like that first song, This Is What I Know About Sacrifice. And it is not to say that, some of what happened to me in my life at that point wasn't self-inflicted, but it definitely, like I said, motivated me to want to be a better person. This record, songs like The Great Unknown, Test the Limits are powerful driving songs for me that kind of pushed me forward. And, hearing these songs, continued to motivate me and tell me that just because my situation is shitty or just because certain aspects of my life aren't where I would want them to be, there's still hope for me to continue to keep pushing on. And this is one of those things why I wanted to talk about the Ghost Inside, because this is one of those bands that has affected a lot of people, not just because they were heavy, not just because they have a ton of breakdowns, but because they were actually saying something in music that somebody needed to hear, that someone needed to hear. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure people who are religious feel this way. I'm sure people who are non-religious want to hear something that doesn't have a religious message, but kind of tells you that there is a possibility to continue to keep going in your life and you don't have to settle for the bullshit that's going on. So this record is, essentially kind of just put me on a path of motivating me to kind of guide me forward and kind of, keep telling me that, yes, things are crappy right now, but if I'm going to be a better person, I'm going to need to face, 1, the things I've done wrong, 2, move forward, and 3, just kind of cut through the bullshit, and that's great. Now, one more point before I get off this record. This is kind of the first record they kind of started adding singing to it, and to be honest with you, I didn't feel like it was too much. I didn't feel like, oh man, these guys are singing now, this is bullshit. I really think it added something to it. I think it was, added in light places, and it was well done. You know what I'm saying? It was well done, and it wasn't too cliche for me. It wasn't too ridiculous for me. I really enjoyed it. So the next record is unfortunately the last record they put out before, the unfortunate accident that happened with them, which is 2014's Dear Youth. And to be honest with you, this is a mature sounding The Ghost Inside, to be honest with you. They still have the same elements that they always had, the melodic, heavy metalcore breakdowns and whatnot, but this kind of puts you in a new headspin with them and just kind of, okay, so we went through those things. Now, what are we going to do about it? How are we going to continue to progress as a human being, and why those things matter so much? Like, the subject matter in this record was so real for me, is not only just being, a 20-something-year-old in hardcore music, but being a 20-something-year-old who loves this kind of music and is also trying to be a parent, trying to be an adult, just trying to be a human being in general. Just kind of one of those things that this record makes me reflect on how this band can continue to still be around and still stand out and show you something that you didn't know you either needed or you wanted. And I think this is the mark of a great writer, between all of them. Like I said, this is just, it's an amazing record, and it's an amazing record for being more polished, being more, mature, being more, just everything you need it to be. And when you watch a band kind of progress from where they started to what they're doing now, like I said, just subject matter, sound, everything about this record is a fun look on what they were doing. And then, like I said, unfortunately, this is the last record they put out before the bus accident. So with that being said, it's unfortunate, we do unfortunately have to I think, when you talk about where this band's been, you do have to talk about the bus crash, which happened in 2015 in Texas. And I remember reading the article on Lambgoat and just thinking, holy shit, this is kind of super unreal. And I think I may have seen them in the beginning of the year with the Devil Wears Prada in Jacksonville. I want to say it was at Murray Hill. I think that was the last time I saw them. And they put on such a kick-ass show. It was such a fucking badass show. And I enjoyed everything about it, man. And they had a killer set and everybody went crazy and had fun. And if I'm not mistaken, I went with my friend Tiffany and I think we had a good time. Devil Wears Prada was Devil Wears Prada, which, I mean, they're good, but I don't know. Anyways, the Ghost Inside just kind of made my night and it made me feel like really good about that evening. But like I said, I remember reading this article about the crash on Lambgoat and just thinking, man, that's crazy. That's insane. And a lot of details didn't come out. You just kind of knew that they had gotten into a crash and it unfortunately killed 2 people. The driver of the tractor trailer that hit them and the driver of their tour bus, which is kind of sad. And then I want to say maybe it might have been a couple weeks, might have been maybe a month or 2 after that. You kind of saw the pictures of what the bust looked like. And you kind of just sit back and you think, good God, the fact that they survived this is absolutely fucking amazing. That bus looked almost in pieces. It looked like it was torn in half. It just looked like someone had taken a can opener to it and just ripped off the top of it. And I don't know, man. Once again, I've never been one to let a band's situation affect me, but this one kind of hit to me just because of the band it was, just because of who it was, just kind of a saddening moment to think about these guys who make really kick-ass music, where unfortunately some of them were in a fight for their life, and just kind of crazy to me to think, after all of this craziness, that you didn't feel like, damn, that kind of like is sad. I just remember just thinking, wow, some of the things these people have gone through. I mean, this is not the first time you hear of, band accidents. The other one that I can remember vividly was the Bayside tour crash that unfortunately killed their drummer. Bleeding Through had a crash. I want to say probably like early 2000s-ish, and there was actually video from that. I remember, if I'm not mistaken, there was a state trooper who was helping an assisted car, and I think they may have hit some black ice or something, but and that was crazy to see too. But I think for some reason this one just kind of resonated and hit more with me, just thinking about, like I said, the people, this band, what this band meant to me. So just kind of, for me, I think it affected me, and not just only me, but a lot of music fans. I know it affected a lot of artists. I just watched Jake from August Burns Red actually watching the video Aftermath, and his emotion, he even admitted he's not going to sit here and say that these guys are his best friends or whatever the case is, but he just remembers the feeling everybody felt when that accident happened, which was like, holy shit, it kind of shook a lot of these guys who were in bands. And I appreciate him kind of putting that out to the world, that, even though he wasn't really, like he would say, friends with these guys, he still felt for these guys, and, he got an emotional reaction to it. So like I said, this just kind of an unfortunate event for a band who at the time was, I would have to say, they were on top of the world, touring like crazy, and I'm sure another record was in the works already. So let's get to the happy side of this whole conversation, which is Wednesday, April 22nd of 2020, they released the song Aftermath, and I saw the music video first, and it starts out with the report of their crash. And just kind of from there, you kind of just got that feeling like, oh my God, they're going right for it. They're facing it head on, which is something I feel like they've always done. They've always kind of gone forward with something that's uncomfortable, something that makes you confront yourself, whether you're an artist or a human being in general. And hearing this song just kind of made my day. It kind of made me feel happy for these guys. 5 years, you see Instagram posts from John, you see Instagram posts from the band. Some of them got over it a little bit faster than others. Like I said, their drummer had to learn how to drum without a leg. John had like a shit ton of fucking ankle surgeries because of either pins sticking out or infections and stuff like that, man. And I don't know, man, for whatever reason, I was hoping like 2-3 years they would have already been back and been like this. But when you look at what happened to them, you look at how it affected some of them, you're surprised they're even wanting to do this again, man, because that type of stuff just kind of, it kind of ruins people sometimes, man. That type of stress, that type of trauma, just kind of ruins things, man. And, I probably listened to this song more than I would like care to admit. And, I don't think I've tortured my wife with it yet, but I've listened to the song on repeat quite a while since Wednesday. And some things that kind of stuck out to me is just, one, how the song starts with, especially the video, and you watch the news report of their accident, and then just kind of goes on from there. And if I'm not mistaken, watching the video, I think he's kind of, John is kind of in that desert where that accident happened. And to be honest with you, I think that's a brave move to want to confront even that site. Now, I could be wrong. I don't know where he shot that music video. Obviously, everyone, the way the world's working right now, everyone's kind of shooting videos in quarantine. But it kind of looked like he personally went out to that desert, probably had like a camera guy and, one of those drones that kind of looks like it flies up above. But it starts off with that really powerful scream and just kind of just picks up right, like almost like they never left, man. It just picks up, it's heavy and just keeps going and going. And then that breakdown, the call before it, man, I don't have it in me to sing of defeat. And then just that breakdown that says triumph over tragedy couldn't be more correct statement about this situation for those guys. And just kind of like, to be honest with you, I'm glad that they put this song out, because especially like with everything that's going on in the world, you really have to think about that. You really have to think about what means something to you now when we're all having to stay home and be isolated from one another and not be able to talk to each other. It really puts in perspective to you what's important, what's one of the things that you miss right now, what's, some of the things you're unfortunately having to miss out because of what's going on in the world. And to think, much like what happened with them in this accident, things are going to change. We're all going to be able to hopefully get back to some type of normalcy, some type of okay. You know what I'm saying? That even these guys who, it took them so long to get through this, it took them so long to rebuild themselves. Some of them, it took long to just remember how to walk, and that's crazy to me. But it gave me perspective, and it inspired me even more to want to say that when all this craziness is over, I'm going to pick myself back up. I'm going to look at who I am. And like they say in the song, I'm going to look up at the new me and think, how do I move forward? How do I continue to be the best person I can, whether you're a daughter or, a mother, a brother, a human being in general, which is some of those things we need to remember, is that we're all human beings. And at some point we are all going to have to go through an unfortunate trauma. But the question is do you have it in you to continue to stand up? And this is why I love The Ghost Inside. This is why The Ghost Inside resonates with me, because they do push those questions to you. It is almost like musical therapy in the way that they make you question who you are and what it is about you that you can make it through these situations, So with that being said, which I'm pretty sure I'm probably rambling, but I just felt like this was one of those things that needed to be covered, because this band is so just beloved by people who love this style of music. And even if you don't love this style of music, you have to respect what these guys have done, what they've been through, and what it took them to get to even now, where they're about to drop their first album in 5 years, come June, which is fucking spectacular. And I'm so excited to see what they going to do next, and whatever comes of them once all this stuff is over with. So with that being said, man, if you enjoyed today's show, man, just, let me know how you feel. Let me know some of your favorite Ghost Inside songs. If not, let me know what band inspires you to want to continue to keep pushing forward. And with that, with all that being said, what are some of the things you're looking at yourself as a person? Because I think more than ever, it's time to reflect on who you are, what you've done in your life, and what you want to do once all of this craziness in the world is over. So, like I said, guys, thanks for listening to today's show, and I hope you guys really, really enjoyed today's show, man. Like I said, hit me up on Facebook and Instagram at Podcast of Blue, and hit me up on Twitter at I'm pretty sure I just messed all that up. Let me rewind that. So you can reach me on Facebook and Instagram at Blue Presents a Podcast, and you can reach me at Twitter, Podcast of Blue. Thank you guys. I hope you really love this show, man. And thank you all who continue to keep listening, man. You guys have a good day, man.